Right, thankfully, let's move on from talking about Wednesday and we'll go back in time, talk about Tuesday. We haven't talked about the first semi-final of this year's World Cup, France versus Belgium. I've got to admit, I'm a little disappointed in it. Like, quite obviously, there were two very, before the semi-finals started, it was two very different reasons to look forward to those games. One was, am I looking forward to it or am I terrified in the sense of the England game? But France-Belgium, I was just looking at purely in a, this is going to be awesome kind of sense.
Yeah.
And it was very good in the first half because it was sort of boiling up. You could get the impression that it was 0-0 at half time, but all it would take was a goal, you felt, and these two teams' qualities would really show, and there were hints of brilliance from Mbappe and all that kind of stuff. What I thought happened, though, was when France did score early in the second half, they just did such a professional job of shutting the game down that actually, as a neutral, it was a bit like, poor. That was a letdown.
Yeah.
But that's to France's credit, right?
Yeah, it's pragmatism, isn't it? It's the way you beat that Belgian team is stopping them getting away from you on the counter-attack, and it's stopping Hazard and De Bruyne being able to boss the game from the midfield. They can make all the passes they want, but if you've got Varane on form in defence, you've got Pogba throwing his weight around and beating Fellaini to everything that he tried to go for, their routes forward for Belgium became difficult.
Yeah. What do you think?
I know he's got his critics and that thing, but I think Fellaini for Belgium this tournament has been one of their better players. And then he finally has his chance to play, and then I think it doesn't work out for him. And I think it's a real big shame for Belgium because they've had their golden generation. I mean, for a country that size, they're probably not going to have something like that for at least a few.
That's one of the things, we get so embroiled in our own world and we're so disappointed about on going through. You forget if you're Belgium, you never won it. And actually, you really, really did have a chance to win it. Yeah. Probably more, in the cold light of day, as much as we were getting excited, they probably had an even better chance to win it than we did, given the quality they had. And you're right. I mean, that chance might not come again for a very long time, right?
I think they had a very uninspiring managerial appointment in front of Bobby Martinez. I think they could have had someone a lot better that probably would have.
Lovely man.
Yeah, I'm not knocking him. Yeah. Sorry, Bobby, big fan of the show.
Yeah.
And Thierry Henry, as great a role player as he is, I don't know how tactically.
What a weird situation he was in.
Yeah.
As well, it's one thing to be. I know we had Sven and we played Sweden a few times when we had a Swedish manager, and that's one thing. But like France's all-time top goal scorer trying to stop France from getting to their third ever World Cup final. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
No.
What did he do at the anthems? Did he sing the French one?
I don't know.
But
apparently someone asked him, right? Someone said, why aren't you involved in the French setup? And he goes, well, they didn't ask me.
That's fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. Belgium, interestingly, I've found this more interesting than others because I'm a Spurs fan, but started Dembele, which is for the second time in the tournament. And actually, that's one of the things I don't think particularly well. And I love Moussa Dembele. I think he's one of the most exceptional central midfielders in the world. But he really is. I would have when you looked at that team and you on paper before the World Cup, and I thought, what? There's a team that could play Moussa Dembele and Kevin De Bruyne in the centre of midfield. You're like, oh my god. But for whatever reason, Martinez obviously felt he didn't particularly fit into the team because he didn't play very much. And when he did on Tuesday, it didn't really work, and he was the first man substituted.
Yeah, and it's a shame. And it shows one of those things, that transition between your club and national side doesn't always work. It's at the will of the manager, which is slightly gutting for him, I would say.
Well, it's a very hard game to come into if you haven't been playing the whole tournament, really, apart from that dead rubber against England. Then you come into a World Cup semi-final and are expected to play against Pogba, who's playing very well at the minute. Isn't that what Matuidi did for France? Did he make his debut?
In the semi?
Yeah,
he started in the early stages of the tournament.
No, but he made his debut in the Euros, didn't he?
Oh, you mean he started in competitive football?
He started competitive football in France and high up in the Euros.
Oh, no,
having had completely nothing, and then now is completely managing that French midfield.
De Bruyne, by the way, very, very quiet. Again, and this is, I think, again, this is credit to the France team. We talked about this in the one thing about France. One of the reasons you find it, apart from the fact that they're France, is that you find it somewhat difficult to support them on Sunday. Is from an English perspective, is that they're just kind of boring. But very effective. I said about France-Belgium being a letdown from a neutral perspective. I said the same about France-Uruguay, which I also thought would be good. But the reason that was a bit crap was also because they shut the game down.
I think they were a reflection of their manager. I mean, Deschamps as a player was a very pragmatic,
the water carrier.
Exactly.
as I've heard repeatedly in the last week.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being. I consider myself a water carrier, but in terms of when you have a team with like loads of flair plays and that sort of thing, he's not who you.
Is that why you're always so boring and rubbish on FIFA?
I just beat Dugan 4-1 as the USA. So
well, yeah, that's Dugan.
It's a reversal. I beat him last time.
I know it's all hypothetical now, but it wasn't on Wednesday morning, right? Were you at the time pleased that it would be France, not Belgium, if we got there?
Yes.
Why?
Definitely want to play France. I was more worried about the likes of Hazard and De Bruyne. I'm not exactly sure why, because France had like Mbappe and that sort of thing. But I just thought
the amount of crosses peppering that back three. I did not want that. As opposed to what France could offer.
With that in mind, we're going to move on in a second. We're going to talk about whether it's going to be a close game on Sunday. Will it be a closer game if it's France than it would have been if it was Belgium against Croatia? We'll talk about that in a minute. But in the meantime, let us know what you think about the France-Belgium semi-final in the comments. Why is it that France are able to shut that game down, and why is it that the gloss was taken off of Belgium's golden generation on Tuesday night?